All right. Law Enforcement, I'm the real deal J Neal. Welcome to the TRD Afternoon Show. On right now with me, live on Zoom, is Dede in the morning. How are you, Dede?
I am great. How you doing?
I am great, man. Once your show started playing here in Lawton and Fort Sill, people was kind of shocked because we have been playing Ricky Smiley for so long. So, when people listen to certain things, they don't want to change. So I would say it was maybe about a couple of weeks when we was playing your show, we started getting good reviews. And
good.
One thing that people love most about your show is that date fail. How did that come about?
Okay, so date fail came about because Lady Jade, first of all, we would send Lady Jade out. She's single, and she got married for maybe it lasted about a year. But before she got married, we would send her on lots of dates, and we would do 20 dates and 20 nights, right? Okay. And it became interesting because people really got into her dating, and they really got into, when it didn't work and why it didn't work and everything else. And one day we were all brainstorming about it, and we had heard other stations had done something similar, but we wanted to do it based, with other people eventually, and that's how it came about. But it really was based on because of Lady Jade's dating escapades was so interesting to people.
Oh man, that's like part of the favorite parts of your show every morning. I wait to hear the date fail.
Yeah.
So how long have you been in radio?
A long time. I try not to say, because let me tell you why. People always want to know when they say that, how long, because then people want to calculate, well, how old is she? Women never tell their age.
Oh, so I know this.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
I say, yes. Trust me, I know this.
Yeah, we never want to say our age. So if I say, how long I've been doing radio, and they start computing or this and that. But I'll just tell you this. I really did. I got started in radio at the age of 19. And now I've been doing it, 20 years or more.
There you go. Okay. I really wanted to get into this because I've been listening to your show for the last couple of weeks. And I wanted to chime in on it, but I was hoping one day I could do an interview with you. Okay. I know we don't do a lot of talking about it here in my area. I mean, we might mention it now and then, but what is your thoughts as the current events are going on right now in our country and as far as the world, as far as police brutality, the way the injustice that we have in this country and plus around the world, because people around the world are starting to see what's going on in the United States and what's happened to us people of color, and they're taking action. So what do you feel about that? Do you feel that George Floyd lost his life for a good reason, even though I never can say a person losing their life is for a good reason, but him losing his life actually changed the environment of what's going on right now?
Right. It's like when his little girl said that, remember, and I think it was Steven Jackson, I believe, she was on his shoulders and she said, "Daddy changed the world." That got me. That hit me so hard because she was absolutely right. Her daddy changed the world. It was the catalyst for the shift in the movement we're seeing in the world today. And I think that the lockdown that we had, the quarantine, got everybody to slow down a little bit. But I think what it also made everybody do, it slowed the world down and it made us pay attention, made people pay attention, because the news was all focused on the coronavirus, right? Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, every week it felt like, or every 2 weeks, we were hearing of another unarmed Black man being killed by the police. Because remember, before George Floyd, we had the gentleman down in Georgia, right?
Yes.
Ahmaud Arbery. And then there was the Breonna Taylor. And then, so really what we're finding is it felt that as we slowed down the world a little bit, everybody's eyes opened, and I really feel like that what we're going through in the world is a shift. And I'm not quite sure what it is, but there is a shift happening in the world. Something is happening that is just unprecedented, and we're embarking on a new world almost. And I don't know what you get what I'm saying when I say that?
Yeah, I do. Okay. I get what you're saying, because now that I look at it and I think back, like you said, to all the people that have lost their life in police brutality, and we didn't have a movement like we have right now. Yeah, true enough, we've had protests, we've had riots, but we have not had anything like what's going on right now.
It's everybody opened. It opened everybody's eyes now, because at one point it was just us, and we've always known this in our community.
Yes.
And then they said, that the cell phones captured it, but that it was always happening. And luckily the cell phones have captured it. And now it's opened the eyes of a lot more Americans going, wait a minute, this is unfair. What have we been doing? But they had been so busy in their lives going to and from work and taking care of their kids that it didn't bother them. But all of a sudden, when the world stopped and stood still, they had no choice but to go, oh my gosh, this really is happening. This is real. Because in one day alone, I remember putting up a post, and on that one day that George Floyd had died or was killed, it was the situation where the man in New York in Central Park, and the woman had said, all he said to her was, put your dog on a leash. And she tried to say he was doing this, called 911. And then George Floyd died that same day, same 24-hour cycle. And then there was a woman who had drowned her autistic son and said it blamed it on 2 black men. And then, you know what I mean? Like, it was like in one 24-hour cycle, we saw what white America saw as black people, using us or claiming we were these bad people or whatever. And everything.
Right. And what gets me is I get tired of watching the news. I really do, because they only show a small narrative of what's really going on. And the other night where the young man got killed at the Wendy's, and I still believe, okay, the cops could have de-escalated that situation a lot better than what they did. I mean, they sit there and talk with the guy, and then they try to detain him. I've seen instances where I've seen other people of not of my color drunk. They call a cab, they get them home, everything is fine, hokey danny. But then when it comes to a person of color, and then they say, well, it's not racism, or we're not profiling you, but why do you treat us different when you interact with us compared to other people? And there's videos out there where I seen a video the other day where there was a Caucasian guy was wrestling with a Caucasian white cop, female, and a Caucasian male. And he was hitting them with batons and everything, hopping in his car, and they act like they're scared of their own people, but they are terrified of us. I don't get that. You're not scared of your own people, and they sit there and cuss at you, spit in your face, tell you what they want to do. You're fine with that. But as soon as we get together, we're a threat. And I don't seem to understand it. And you get these politicians and these leaders, and they think just because they're leaders or they're in a position of power, and they can sit there and with their little mouthpiece and say, well, oh, nothing is wrong. You're just seeing what you're seeing. No, we're not going to correct this. But hey, at the same token, support your police. How can we support something that we're scared of, that we don't believe in, we don't have no trust in? But at the same token, we know we need the police for protection. It's crazy.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. And I think one of the things that's so sad is that, like you just said, I think it all starts with how the news is going to portray us, or what they find to be worthy of a story. Because now that there are protests that are still going on, are we all aware that there are protests that are still going on, but because they're not perceived or looked upon as violent, they're not covering them the same way.
And I've noticed that. That.
But they are still going on around the world. Protests are still going on, and rallies, and they're not putting the spotlight on that. So
And sometimes when I talk about this, like some of my friends, they talk about, oh man, you always about conspiracies. There's always conspiracy, and there's a conspiracy about that. I'm sorry, I am a conspiracy theory. I feel there's things out there that needs to be explaining. It's just not getting it explained. And I've heard that you are somewhat believe in conspiracies too.
I do. I guess, and let me tell you why. Do not be, you said, well, people will talk about you because you believe in them, and you don't know why. Here's what I always tell people. And I remember when I was a kid, my mom said, never believe what your government tells you. That's number one, why I'm a conspiracy theorist. But the other one, the Tuskegee experiment has shown you that African Americans, we need to be a little nervous of our government and what can be done to us. Let's go back to Juneteenth. Let's talk about that conspiracy. The fact that, you were free for 2 years and they didn't tell you, right?
Yes.
So this mistrust has started a lot. You told us we were going on a nice ride. I thought when our people got on a boat and you lied. And then all of a sudden we were slaves. So
we're going to send you on a nice vacation.
Right.
You're going to send you on a nice vacation. You're going to go to the land of the free. You're going to live prosperous. As soon as you get here, bam, you're in chains.
There you go. So don't talk to me about conspiracies and this mistrust. The conspiracy is that because we're not going to believe everything that somebody is spoon feeding us, I'm okay with that. You know what I tell people now? I'm a critical thinker. That's what I said.
I like that. I like that.
Not just a conspiracy theorist, but I'm a critical thinker, and I'm open to understanding that some of the stuff that I was taught may have been wrong. I'm okay at relearning some things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So what do you think about President Trump? I really hate putting that term, but he is our president no matter how we look at it. But how do you feel about him and that the executive order that he signed yesterday as far as the police reform? I don't think he went far enough.
Oh, I don't either. And I know that he didn't. Lee Merritt, the attorney for Ahmaud Arbery's family, and who's very much, been a big a proponent for, reform for the police. He lives in Dallas area. I know him personally. And the fact that he walked out yesterday and was like, I'm not even getting ready to sit up there and do a picture with you. Did you notice that?
Yes.
The families didn't do all that while he was signing this. Told me, yeah, I knew he didn't do enough. And I think we knew. He has to play safe and pacify folks. The fact that he didn't talk about the rallies and the racial injustice and the separate, is it separate a little bit in our country? It feels like it's a little fractured. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
Relationships are fractured a little bit, or they're very, it's tense.
Yes.
He didn't address that to me. He's not a politician. I think we all need to, just really remember he's not a politician.
Yes, that's true. And I know when I look at him, I just see a reality TV star who just thinks that everything is just a reality TV show, and he can say what he wants, get away with it. And my thing is, he has the most thinnest skin I've ever seen for a person. He could sit there and say whatever he wants about anything, but as soon as you correct him, oh, I'm not this or I'm not that, people know Donald Trump. I'm like, he always speak in a third person term. Like, to me, it was just the biggest con job I've ever seen anybody make it to the White House. And I know every year or every election year, everybody says this is the most important part of our life for a generation, blah, 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 blah. But with that being said, how do we get, or what do we need to do as far as people in radio or as far as on our platform that we have to actually get people to understand that this is really the most important time of our life to actually vote? Because if we don't vote, you do not have a voice in the matter. So if we really want this guy out of office, I'm just trying to figure out, what do we need to do to mobilize people to get them to understand your vote means a lot. Just because you don't think your vote means anything, you don't know until you vote. So what do we need to do? I mean, do you have any suggestions?
One of the things I think we have to get back to number one, there's so much propaganda, and I think we all need to pay attention to that. Just the way they said the Russians had put up certain things online and false stories on Facebook and everything else. There are some falsities that are being said about voting in this country that a lot of African Americans will believe. That's number one. So we got to also understand and re-educate ourselves and understand this was something that our ancestors fought for and died for. Obviously, it means something. The fact that they have tried to suppress our vote means something, right? They've tried to make it so difficult for us to go out and cast our votes. So that's number one. We got to understand how valuable this is, that voting is important. The other part is we cannot sit there and get mad and say that, well, the system is doing me like this in the system, but we're not being a part of the system. Like, you can't ask a system to do for you and you ain't doing for them.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So the other side of this is we also got to get African Americans to understand this. When your cousin or your son or your sister, whoever it is, friend, family member, is sentenced, right, to go to prison, it is not Donald Trump also doing that. That is your local officials that you elect, right? That's going to be your district attorney. It's going to be some of these judges. So when you get mad because somebody's been sentenced, this is on you for not going out to vote.
Absolutely.
Locally, they said, is the most important election ever. Like we need to be voting locally. Then you start doing that and local and for your state. And then it trickles down to what the president can even do. Right.
Absolutely.
And of course, getting Donald is going to be second to none. We got to get him out.
And it's not going to be an easy task. I already know that. It's not going to be an easy task because people don't seem to understand, because I talk to a lot of people, it's just nothing but white folks that, no, it's not. It is not. They don't seem to understand. It's all races that love Donald Trump, that think like he does. It has nothing to do about being racist. It's just letting them, it's showing you exactly who you are dealing with and what their mindset is. You know, they always talk about we need equality and inclusion. But then you have this mindset like this guy that you are sitting here representing, and you know for a fact that this guy is being misogynist, being racist, being whatever, and to be a pedophile, a rapist, all that. We know this, but you're okay with that. But let somebody like me go to a store, no harm whatsoever. I walk in, the first thing you do, you stereotype me, for one. You think I'm a thug, and then if I do something wrong, you kill me. I might not did anything, but you're going to search my history and bring that out for the whole public to see. And that is ridiculous to me. So like you said, we need to start from our local to our state to national. but I don't seem to see what we could do to get people to understand that. All they talk about is the national, and that's what most people listen to the news because that's all they talk about. They don't talk about the city council. They don't talk about the state legislation. None of that, and that is the most important because this is
that's what we've got to do. We got to start reteaching. We got to relearn. And I'm hoping that what we're going through right now, and I said I don't know what this shift is, but hopefully the shift is a shift in our consciousness, an awareness, and us as African Americans understanding the power that we actually have. I always say this: what is it that we have? We need to start digging deep within and realizing who we are and using that power. And we have been able to sway elections and everything else, our votes. So we've got to understand our power and use it. And educate ourselves again, re-educate ourselves on certain things. I think that's going to be really, really important as we move forward, not only just from when it comes to politics, but just who we are, how we are treating each other, how we are wanting to acquire business. Look, Black Wall Street, everybody talks about it all the time. We can get it again. We can do it again. We all have to understand that. We got to start holding ourselves up to a higher standard and not looking for everybody else to give us that handout. We can do it. We are some amazing people. And I just want us to all, just recognize that and buy into it ourselves.
That is true. That is true. I always said that if it wasn't for us, half the stuff that goes on in the world right now would not make no sense. I mean, we influence everything. No matter what. We influence everything. We the one that built this country. Yeah. Even though we don't get the props that we deserve, but we built this country. Everything dictates around what we do. Mm-hmm. Everything, no matter what, music, clothing, innovation, you name it. We the ones are doing it and making it happen. We're just not getting the credit for it
because mentally the society has beat us down probably a little too much, but it's okay. That's the only thing I love about who we are as people. We're loving, forgiving, and resilient. So we'll do it.
We'll do it. We'll keep doing it. Mm-hmm. I know that you're busy. I know I don't want to take up more of your time. I know I have a bunch of questions I wanted to ask you, but once we started talking, all those questions I want to ask you just went out the window. Sorry. And it's really a pleasure actually talking with you. I mean, I hear you every morning, and I thank you very much for sitting in with me and give me a little bit of your time. Is there anything that you want to say to our audience? We thank you so much for being on the show with us. It's a pleasure talking with you. I knew you. I have military, Fort Hood, Germany, all that stuff, but nah, that's not the time to talk about that. No. I want to talk to you about what was important, what was going on right now.
I know. And one thing I will say is what's important is that it's going to take all of us to end racism, racist attitudes, prejudice. It's going to take all of us, not just African Americans. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I just want to make sure I'm clear of that. My family is a family full of Black and white and Hispanic, or you know what I mean? So I need everybody to understand something. That when you hear us talk or anybody talk that is pro-Black, it doesn't mean you're anti anything else, right? It just means we are wanting to instill some hope, some value, you get what I'm saying?
Yes, I do. I do.
Into all of us, and to put some fire behind all of us to understand we can all be better, do better, and make a change for the world.
Absolutely.
I sound like a politician.
You sure you don't want to run for city office?
No.
Well, Dede, I thank you so much for giving me a little bit of your time to do this interview. Hopefully,
tell everybody to listen. Huh? Tell everybody to listen. Tell everybody to listen. Every morning, listen.
Man, you are the number one show right now in Cash, Lawton, and Fort Sill. Point blank, seriously, you are the number one show here. Everybody loves your show. Cool. And I'll make sure when I go on the air at 2:00 today, I'm going to give you a mad shout out and tell them to tune in onto our interview to check it out. Once again, it's a pleasure seeing you, having an interview with you, and I thank you so much.
All right. And next time, call me. Let's talk conspiracies.
Oh, then we could talk about that all day long. Because I see the little alien guy behind you, because I sure wanted to talk about that.
Yes, I believe in that too.
All right, Dede, have a good day.
All right, you too.
All right, bye.
You're awesome.
So are you.
I love it. Thank you.
You're welcome.